The fan base that puts the hashtag release the Snyder Cut, just hugely generated kind of online attention to Snyder and to him releasing his version of Justice League after 2017, kind of the debacle that happened with that movie when Snyder stepped away and then Whedon took over and finished the film. A lot of people were calling for them to release the Snyder Cut. And we see Zack Snyder's full vision of what he wanted to do with the film, and it finally did. I mean, they finally did release that, which a lot of people liked. It got really genuinely positive reviews, positive reception.
It's fine.
It's pretty good.
It's
which
fine.
is words I never thought I would say about it.
Yeah. So
I think on our scale, I'd say it's a stream it exactly where it should be on HBO Max.
Honestly, yeah. Like I gave it a C plus.
I gave it a high stream it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So it did well. Also, ratings wise, it did well for HBO Max. It was a big thing when the streaming service first premiered, and it was kind of the first big thing they were kind of marketing.
It was the biggest thing when it first premiered. I think it's like the most streamed thing on HBO Max. It was a huge thing that drove up subscribers. It was it came out the same week as Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I'm
just waiting my turn.
I was mostly thankful that movie came out on a Wednesday, so I had like a day.
And we reviewed it. I wasn't there for the review, but it is up on up on YouTube, youtube.com. The afternoon.
Yeah, it was myself. It was me, our old co-host Chase, and Michael Horgan.
Yeah. And talking about it. So if you want to check out, thoughts on the movie, you can go do that. And with this article, it's kind of talking about the tension that was there between Snyder and some of the executives of Warner Brothers. And it's also talking about the fact that they claim that 13% of the Snyder fans that are online on Twitter were bots, which kind of leads people to respond. If 13% were bots, then does that mean 87% were real people that were doing it? I
think they got the fucking shit backwards.
We're doing it. I'm going to go into some of the issues I have with this article, and we're going to be
shit.
Just kind of point by point.
That's like my thing. No shit, Sherlock.
So the issues I have with this article is one, the kind of framing of it to begin with, because the article opens up kind of with it saying, so Zack Snyder was beginning increasingly agitated over the course of several weeks, despite director rapidly demanding the names of two producers, Jeff Johns and John Berg. Actually, not that part I want to talk about. It was below that, the second paragraph. It was saying a toxic social media movement that had already been building around the director since at least 2018. So I think a lot of things with this. So the framing of that article, the way it is, it kind of reminds me of things like when magazines manufacture consent. And meaning that you'll have when the whole discussion of the Bernie Bros, when that came up, they kind of, reading this kind of reminds me of something like that. Where if you don't know, so like in 2016 when Bernie Sanders was, running for president, he was a presidential candidate. And then again in 2020, the whole situation was about the, Bernie Bros, and Bernie Sanders has this incredibly toxic fan base, and that it's up to him to condemn the people that that people that support him, and then if some of them are bad people, he has to account for all these people online. And so they were kind of in a way even with the title of the Bernie Bros situation, trying to equate the people that follow Trump are the same people that follow Bernie, and they're the same type of people, and it's mostly white dudes and things like that, kind of erasing all the other support that Bernie Sanders had during the race. And that's a whole kind of bigger conversation. But when you really looked at it, it was like, somebody really dug deep and it was like, well, no, not really. I mean, his base isn't any more, less negative than any other kind of fandom or base that was running for president. And, also he was a guy that had a large support and had a lot of fans online of people that were kind of supporting him. So, yeah, with a large number of people, millions of people like that, there are going to be probably also a good amount of people that are assholes that you see. I don't think the Snyder fan base, it's not a fan base that's defined by toxic nature, toxicity. I don't think it is. I think there are, of course, toxic people a part of it, but I don't think it's something defined by toxic nature. I think that's what kind of separates it. Like, if you have like a fan base of people who are follow these red pill PUA dudes, that's kind of defined by toxicity. So pretty much a majority, I think, of their fan base is going to be a lot of toxic people, and I think this is not the same situation. And then even the Star Wars fan base, where you have a lot of people like with the Star Wars fan base, Star Wars has millions and millions of fans, all across the world. I don't think the Star Wars as a base really is defined by toxicity. I think there's obviously a part of it, but it's not. I don't think it's defined by toxicity. I think as the base itself, I don't think it is.
Dude, when you have to have when one of the actors on the show that they are currently airing has to say, "Hey, stop being racist," I think that's like cross the line into being a toxic fandom.
And can we rewind real quick to when people found out Boyega was gonna be a stormtrooper, and that was like a fucking news story, like a black stormtrooper, like what?
So I want to get you guys' opinion on the Snyder fans and if you guys ever had interactions with them online before we go deeper online. But with the stuff, so when you have people like that online who do stuff like that, harass actors, make racist comments, all that stuff like that. If you had to, I know, I'm not asking you to pull up any statistics, but if you had to say, I'm giving you guys guessing, what percentage of that do you think is a part of the fan base? Like if you have a fan base and they do toxic things like harass actors, make racist comments, what percentage of that do you think actually represents?
So you're talking about like an entire fandom, but you're like talking about the assholes that actually do like the toxic like harassment.
Yeah.
It's like how if I were to like shoot a guess, I'd say conservatively, I'd say like 25%.
25%. That's kind of a big amount. 25%.
I'm around 30.
30%.
Because I've had interactions with Snyder fans, and I'm just like, God, I hate social media so much.
So yeah, what's been your reaction with Snyder fans and Snyder people? What's been your kind of interaction with them, I should say?
Okay, so Nick is in a Facebook message group with me where I've been on this damn near crusade, just like I'm so sick of, I hate that hashtag so goddamn much. Like I could go the rest of my life without seeing hashtag restore the Snyderverse. I think Snyder's a pig, man. like straight up. I think he's a straight up asshole. And it bothers me that he has such a insanely toxic fan base that's willing to follow him no matter what. Because real quick, I remember my first Blu-ray, or one of my first Blu-rays I ever bought was Sucker Punch, right? And I remember I was like, you know what, like it looks like an anime, like sure, why the fuck not? And I remember I went back to Target the next day because I watched it, and that's still one of my least favorite movies I've ever seen in my life. I fucking hate Sucker Punch. Like it angers me that movie exists. And so I go back to Target, and the guy's like, "Oh, you're returning this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have a receipt." He's like, "Oh, is it Sucker Punch?" I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah, here you go." Just gives me a gift card. Doesn't even ask for a receipt. Scan it. He's like, "Here, dude. Just fair enough." I'm like, "Thank you, man. Appreciate you." And I think Snyder visually can be a brilliant director because there are shots in Watchmen where you go like that Dr. Manhattan like mini movie essentially is it. I think that movie's. I think that scene is fucking great, but it's like Snyder doesn't read source material, and that drives me insane because something like Man of Steel has so many great shots, but Superman is such a joyless bastard in Snyder's universe.
And I borderline sociopath.
And I don't understand how he makes Superman just so cold. But all his characters feel like that. it bothers me so much because Superman looks more irritated saving people than he looks, happy to do it. And his fan base, anytime I go like, hey, it'd be really cool if, he knew how to write women, or he knew how to or how to convey, you know, hope in any sort of way, because his movies just feel joyless at points. Uh, Outside of what's the Legend of the Guardians movie, that's by far his most hopeful movie, and it's shocking how not just good but great that movie is. So I know he's capable of doing it, and I just don't know why he doesn't. Honestly, it feels like he feels like everything has to be dark, and it bums me out, honestly, because these are characters that should be fun. I mean, they don't have to be, hokey, but you can have those dark elements. But when everyone acts like Batman, that's a problem for your universe, especially with these characters. Exactly, and that's really frustrating as someone who's like really does dig a lot of DC characters, and just seeing them all just so like saving the world.
As a giant fucking DC fan, 2016 was not a good year for me. Because we had the fucking theatrical cut of Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad same year.
Yeah.
Like,
have you had much experience with Snyder fans at all there, Nick?
Oh no, I blocked that hashtag. But
okay.
It is fucking irritating. It's like it's irritating to be on film Twitter whenever anything puts out. You always see that fucking restore the Snyderverse and shit, like when Godzilla versus Kong was coming out, that was getting review bomb. When Woman 84, that was getting reviews.
Yeah. I've had quite a few. So when we reviewed on my show, when I reviewed Batman vs Superman, I saw that opening night, and I remember leaving the theater just flabbergasted. Like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, how do you get this so goddamn wrong? And by the way, watch Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, and Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. Those are both fucking excellent. But I remember leaving the theaters going, how the fuck do you swing and miss this badly? And I own Man of Steel, and it's weirdly a movie I like less the more I watch it, which sucks. But I remember watching Justice League, and look, I absolutely despise what the fandom did to get that movie released. As far as harassing people off fucking Twitter and just and bitching in a way that I'm just like, man, I've read the Bible enough times. Jesus didn't bitch this much when he got crucified and had nails driven to his hands. Like, it's a fucking movie. Move on. Like, it's like that hashtag was maddening. But
people made it their entire personality of standing Zack Snyder.
Yeah, it's and it just got to a point where I'm like, y'all, like, can we please, like, I was bummed when Daredevil got canceled. I think I tweeted hashtag save Daredevil twice, but I wasn't like, my whole being is dedicated to saving Daredevil.
Yeah, I was like,
y'all.
Yeah, even I was like, damn, this is kind of bummer. Save Daredevil. It was like one tweet that I posted.
But it's like, go touch grass, fuckers. Like, it's okay. But then we get Justice League, and it's good. I think it's a good movie. I gave it a C+. So it's like a solid stream it, I guess.
Yeah, I like the movie.
But it's not even close worth to the 4 years of that hashtag that we got.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid movie. It was better than the other Zack Snyder superhero movies, I thought, like BVS or Man of Steel. I thought it was better than both of those. And with this kind of situation, so when it's a person versus a conglomerate, a company, I'm always pretty much going to take, I'm going to try to be biased towards the person rather than conglomerate. Especially when you see that Warner Brothers has a history of lying and has a history of covering things up and lying on people, like when the Ray Fisher situation happened.
We had the entire fucking Ezra Miller fucking debacle.
Yeah, I mean, Ezra Miller's situation. And we see what happened with Ray Fisher when, he was talking about, he came out and talked about, Whedon was being terrible on set and abusive. And, as more stuff started to trickle out about Whedon, And I think the only person, I mean, well, I think there was some other people. I think the only real person that really backed him up when he first came out, Ray Fisher, was Jason Momoa, who backed him up.
Yes.
He did, but his
and Gal Gadot stayed silent until like Wonder Woman 84 came out.
yeah, but as now that when Whedon is, more stuff has came out, and then there was a whole article, it's like, oh yeah, this dude is a piece of shit. So then people are more comfortable coming out and talking about it and talking about how bad he was. So yeah, then Ray Fisher, and then they ran all these articles talking about Ray Fisher doesn't know what he's talking about and he's crazy, and they really worked hard to discredit him and to make him look like, I mean, he was kind of pulling the race card and things like that of, him saying like he was dealing with racist treatment while in the Warner Brothers.
They were very much gaslighting the shit out of him.
Yeah. So you see that.
Yeah.
So you see now that he was in the right and they were in the wrong. And even with this article, where there's a spot in the article, which Ray Fisher, he quote tweeted it. He talked about it on Twitter, which I'll pull it up real quick. But it's Ray Fisher. He's talking about in the article, because it was mentioned that he declined the comment, but then he responded to them, and I think he sent lawyers to Rolling Stone, the people who wrote it, and it says he did not respond. It's different from he declined. Those are two different things, because there's a spot in the article where it mentions that, and you can see in Ray Fisher's tweet there where he was detailing all that in that situation. So
I gotta say though, Ray Fisher, keep that energy, man. Keep that energy for Ezra. Keep that energy for like I know
keep that
Warner
energy
Brothers
for your
you,
boy.
Yeah, but keep that energy for your boy, man, or for them. Like,
yeah.
Come on now.
So I will say there's a lot of stuff with that. Like in this Rolling Stone article, it says Snyder confronted an executive in the studio's post production department and issued a threat. Jeff and John are dragging their feet and taking their names off my cut. Now I will destroy them on social media. I don't know. That seems a
Let's
little.
see. I'll take things that for sure did not happen for 100.
That seems a little super villainy. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know if he would say that.
So,
I don't know the guy personally, but yeah.
Snyder is the one though that said that how can a fan base be toxic when they're raising money for suicide awareness? Like basically giving his fan base like a giant like pass on how they treat people on social media. So is that super villainy? Yeah. Is it out of their own possibility? I would personally say no.
Okay.
Because Snyder says some shit where I just go like, okay, dude, like this is like that's a little Todd Phillipsy, like real with that.
I mean, I've never met the guy. Most interviews I've seen with him, he's been fairly like kind and jovial with the people on there. People talking about like being on film sets with Zack say he's like a good dude.
Yeah.
He seems like he'd be a great guy to work for, or direct, like acting wise.
Yeah, because Ray Fisher, I mean, he speaks glowingly about Snyder, and it seems like Snyder, when the whole article came out about Whedon and the contrast between how Snyder works with actors and how Whedon works with actors, it's just like Whedon's a very guy that was like, hey, you say my lines, I wrote them, you're gonna say exactly what's on the page. You don't deviate from my script. But Snyder is a guy that really invites people in. Actors ask for their involvement. It's like, hey, what do you think about this? What his character? And Ray Fisher remarked about that about Snyder, about talking about it and going like, yeah, I mean, he really, asked for my input on the script. And Cyborg was the heart of the Justice League movie, and when you see the Snyder cut, you get that.
It's crazy how much because he's really the heart of the original.
He's the main character of that take on Justice League. He basically is that protagonist.
Yeah, but then you see the Snyder's version. I refuse to call it the Snyder cut, but you see Snyder's version, and you go, "Oh wow, they cut a fuck ton." So, like credit to Ray Fisher, he was right on that. He was right on that front because there's so much you see in Snyder's version that you go, "Oh yeah, this would have helped tremendously, actually," but. You can't get the thing that's irritating, or one of the things that's irritating, is that Superman in general is a hopeful character, and one of the things that DC's been criticized of is writing everyone to be like Batman. And I know the retort will immediately be like, well, everyone's so jokey in Marvel. But the thing is, when you're jokey like that, your dramatic beats hit harder. But when everything is so dark and gloomy and you're trying to do drama by default, it kind of drowns itself out. Which is why something like Shazam works so well. Which is why something like Birds of Prey works better. Which is why something like The Suicide Squad works so well, because you have those moments of levity.
Which is why Harley Quinn, like Peacemaker, why
Yeah.
those are so brilliantly done. Same with Doom Patrol.
Which something like Stargirl, like that's another thing that fucking drives me nuts about DC is that they have something like Doom Patrol, they have something like Shazam, which they didn't advertise at all, and I just sit here and go, you have these properties that should be working. Like, I pray to God they advertise the shit out of that Blue Beetle movie, because that costume looks fucking excellent.
Yeah.
So I hope they understand that they can actually have these movies work on a grander scale if they would, have some people behind the movies and behind the scenes that are enthusiastic about it. Because what's been Kathy Yen, who did Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
I'm not in love with that movie. I think it's good, but she was someone who was passionate about that and was talking that up for months as it was coming up. Same thing with the director of Shazam. But Doom Patrol is something that people go, oh yeah, Doom Patrol exists. It's like, you should be watching Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is really great. Superman and Lois is by far the best show on CW, like to a hilarious point. But that's something that DC doesn't really advertise. Like, there's some great shit they have going on, but yeah.
So in this article, it really tries to paint a picture that Snyder was one that was really utilizing this.
I think.
Yeah,
the article it looks, just reading what little excerpts I have from it, it feels like it's been written in bad faith.
Yeah.
It's just written as a hit piece, which Snyder fans definitely deserve, but maybe or may not.
Yeah. Because here there's a section in this article, quote here. So Rolling Stone spoke with more than 20 people involved with both the original Justice League and the Snyder's Cut, most of whom believe the director was working to manipulate the ongoing campaign, the release of Snyder Cut. Snyder claims that if anyone was pulling strings on the social media fever, it was Warner Brothers trying to leverage my fan base to bolster subscribers to their new streaming service. But one source maintains Zack was like a Lex Luthor wreaking havoc. In that case, do you all think there's any credibility to Zack Snyder? Like, was he at all playing to the social online movement to try to get his cut out there? And also, because I think the article also claims he's the one that also was creating bots to do that as well. Like, he was the one that created the bots.
That's a bit of a stretch, but your other point of him like using social media to get the movie released, no shit.
Oh yeah, because there's that one social media platform that no one.
Fucking Vero, where he would just post black and white stills of his cut of the movie for like months on end.
Yeah, so no, Snyder was definitely campaigning for that, and that's where another part of my God, I can't stand this dude comes in, is because he goes, I can't believe my fans are campaigning for this on social media. I don't know why they're doing that. It's like, because you're rounding them up, fucker. It's like, that's why. And he keeps
you're like waving dog treats in front of a dog that hasn't eaten in 3 days.
Yeah, it's like Daredevil in season 3. Like, I didn't give Bullseye the gun, but like, I'm gonna tell him exactly where this is. Like you know good and damn well what you're doing, and his fan base is just, I mean, that's one thing I'll give them. I mean, it's insane, but they're loyal as fuck. Cause
passionate.
My God, will they follow this man?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, they're
yeah,
like a year later, they're goddamn using that goddamn hashtag a year after they got their fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, like when you see people having global events, like we're gonna get together at this time and all tweet out, it's like
fuck off. Don't y'all have lives?
We have a lot more issues we need to work on before. That's the thing. You got his version of the movie. You're not getting any more. Jim Lee came out today. God bless you, by the way. Jim Lee came out today. Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have any plans for that.
Yeah, and honestly, nor should they. Like, Snyder's moved on to Netflix. They're writing him blank checks. Lord knows why, but he's over at Netflix doing his thing. He clearly doesn't want to come back, and DC doesn't want him back. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this is just a toxic relationship from the perspective of his fan base. Because I've just gotten into it with Snyder fans, where I'm like, look, like I've had people say he wrote Dawn of the Dead. And I'm like, no, James Gunn wrote it. They're like, no, Snyder did. I'm like, God damn it, no, James Gunn wrote
No,
it. It's like,
read fucking IMDb, you fucking tar. You
it's like,
fucking
for the
idiot.
love of God. But it's one of those things where Warner Brothers was clearly at fault because he was guaranteed, I think, 5 movies to hammer out his vision,
Yeah,
and
it was.
and then BVS came out and they went, oh fuck, that's not good, and
Shit.
and that shit and that script flipped quickly, but it seems like they're both better off from just being away from each other, but.
Mhm.
Yeah, Snyder's a great visual director. I wish he would let someone else write his scripts.
Yeah. I with this article, also, it kind of brings up the stuff with the creating bots, which again, you hear about stuff like that, people creating bots to generate online traffic and Twitter,
Mhm.
like people who worked for Hillary Clinton created lots of bots and stuff like that for Twitter. People who were part of that, and also, I don't think, like I said, mainly seems like a hit piece of this. I don't think Snyder's is as evil as as they try to portray him in this, especially when we know about Warner Brothers and the people that they were protecting, things like that. So that also is kind of
Yeah,
suspicious.
they're protecting a menace like Ezra.
Yeah,
Fuck Warner Brothers.
and then also the guy who's the former head of Warner Brothers. I'm trying to get his name real quick. Hamada, who's the
Walter Hamada.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
who's the
Yeah,
former
he
head
was
of
like the former president of Warner Brothers.
yeah. And there was a lot of stuff with him that they were protecting. That he was doing a lot of shady stuff with him. And I think so I think you got to take that stuff with kind of a grain of salt.
Mhm.
When you're kind of reading this. And also, do you think this article kind of makes Warner Brothers look foolish? Because it's like, well, if it was this percentage of bots that were doing this, so-called, bots that were doing this, you released a whole movie based on that. You know what I mean? You put all this money into, him finishing it and doing it, and releasing it.
Honestly, most of the fucking movie studios are. Dude, they released Morbius twice
Hmm.
after it was already on streaming because of fucking memes.
Hmm.
But that was Sony. This is Warner Brothers. So I think like most movie studios have like one brain cell that they're all sharing.
Hmm. Okay. Um. Yeah. What about you, Hunter? You think it makes them look so? I mean, I think overall it did pay out. It did work out for them because they, it did do well ratings wise. Got good critical
Mhm.
reception.
It was like the selling point for HBO Max for a while, like during the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But let's be clear. If the pandemic doesn't happen, we're not having this conversation because the movie
Oh
doesn't
fuck
come
no,
out. So everyone going like they would have released it anyway. Be
no the
quiet.
fuck they
Like,
weren't.
they really wouldn't have. And
No,
and
there
all,
was a reason that 2021 all of their movies HBO Max day and day.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things where I go, Warner Brothers looks bad because they just clearly don't have a Kevin Feige. They just don't know what the fuck they want to do. And let's be real. Something like Joker was a happy accident. Now we're getting a
Mhm.
sequel to it, which I am way more concerned about. But that's a whole other issue. But DC, it's almost like they're the things that have worked, things like Aquaman, things like Shazam.
Mhm.
They're like, oh wow, that happened and worked out. That's cool. Like yay! But it never felt like it was supposed to actually go down like that. But I mean, credit to DC. It feels like maybe finally they might be riding the ship and have some direction.
Finally, they finally got their shit together by having
Hopefully,
no direction.
Yeah.
but
They
here's
just
what's
play in our sandbox, do what you want with the characters, and fuck off.
and honestly good if that's the route they want to go, more power to them. But what sucks about this is we're not going to get another Justice League film for at least a decade, probably, because they probably don't want the insane fan people to come right out and go, you're ripping off Zack or whatever, and so
Or
which
have
sucks,
Warner Brothers.
because you know I'd love to get a Justice League Dark movie. Like I'd love to get that. I'd love to get you know they've got Black Adam coming out, which I will be the first to admit I'm not excited about. But we got Shazam, Fury of the Gods coming out in December.
Oh,
I'm
fuck, that is
hyped for
right.
that.
Yeah.
So I mean, DC has some stuff, you know, down the pipeline that okay. Last thing I'll say about it, when you're talking shit about your own franchise to just because of Zack Snyder, that's insane. Like I had people tweeting at me about the Suicide Squad, going, "I refuse to watch it until they restore the Snyderverse." It's like you have one of the best movies of last year. Like, why are you taking away enjoyment?
And he's a fucking producer on it, you fucking knob gobbler.
Yeah, it's that shit where it's like, y'all, like, come on, like, please stop being insane. So,
it's like, did somebody drop you on your head as a baby?
So look, it's not happening. You got your movie. You're complaining work, but just like go get laid. Like a friend. Like it's done. You got what you wanted.
Feel the touch of a woman.
Yeah.
Feel the touch of a woman or a man.
Yeah.
Whatever you prefer.
Whatever you're into. Like you know, just do you. But just enough with this hashtag. Like, just stop.
Yeah, I mean, final word on this. You know, when it comes to kind of the fan base and everything, and Zack Snyder, would I like to see Zack Snyder return? No, I would not. I didn't really like his vision for what the DCU was. I didn't like Man of Steel. I didn't like BVS. I didn't like the tone and style.
Yeah. Warner Brothers just never pick up Zack Snyder's. Give more shit to fucking Matt Reeves and fucking James Gunn and David Sandberg.
Yes, and Kathy Yen. Like give her Gotham. Give her Gotham City.
Also,
Sirens.
yes.
Let her do that shit.
So I didn't like that vision, but Snyder as a director, I generally like more of his movies than I don't. Like I did like 300 and Dawn of the Dead and the the Guardians of the Ga'Hoole, and things like that. So I generally fall more on the side of liking Snyder movies than not liking them. Then when it comes to kind of the fan base itself, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, there's some toxic elements that I don't like. I don't like the whole, maybe harassing projects and actors and directors who come on to things, you know what I mean, and hating them simply because it's not Zack Snyder and wanting them to fail because it's not Zack Snyder, because really it's kind of counterintuitive, because if you try to tank these other superhero projects for DC, why would they continue to do more superhero stuff with DC Warner Brothers? Why would they do that? So it's kind of counterintuitive, but
but you see what you did. But you see what you did there by using logic. Yeah, they can't do that.
But I mean, so that stuff I don't condone. That stuff I don't like. But whatever, the hashtag, whatever, release the Snyder, if they want to still continue to use it, whatever. I mean, as long as it's not just used in kind of a manner that's just aggressively harassing anybody.
It always is. That's
more often than not, it is.
Yeah, like. Yeah. By the way, I had Suicide Squad on my top 10 list last year. I did not have No Way Home on my best of. I would just like to point that out for the DC fans who will come at me in the comments.
Yeah. And I like a lot of the stuff they've done.
Same, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think I put No Way Home
Yeah,
on it.
you
Suicide
did.
Squad was number 5 last year for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Any final word, Nick?
Snyder fans, fuck off.
Okay.
There. That's my final word.
Okay.
I will simply say neener, no more Snyder.
Wow. You just Elvis fans, now Snyder fans. Jeez.
Dude, this is me.
Come at me, bro.
Nick knows I'm way less of a fan, but I'm being good.
Oh yeah, you're way meaner in the fucking group chat.
Yeah, but just. Watch the Owl movie. The Owl movie is really good, actually.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I rewatched it during lockdown, and it's actually really great. It's a solid tune in. Maybe even high tune in. It's really good. Yeah.